Okay.
So the one...
Which one are you find? One is like got a big chunk missing out the
wounded, isn't
side of it.
Which was the one that attacked, the one that wasn't damaged.
The healthy one attacked, yeah.
Right, I'll attack the healthy one.
Grand. Okay, let's go. Let's get an attack.
Okay, dexterity. That is a 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
need to add your laser pistol to that, by the way.
Did you add 2 to that roll?
Why would I add 2?
Because your pistol gives you +1.
Oh, I'm only shooting with one pistol, but I did not add 1 to that. I haven't done that every time I've rolled.
We'll work this out in future versions. Yeah. You glance it and do one. You do a little bit of damage to the side of it, basically.
Great.
Okay. Rixuar.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Well, I'm hanging over a void.
Yeah.
Can Aaron pull me up, or do
Yeah,
I
I'm
need to
gonna
climb
say
Aaron?
let's not even worry about it. Like Aaron is able to kind of lift you
Yeah.
back onto the crane.
In which case, I make sure he's also back on the crane, and then we start climbing.
Okay, grand. So just
climbing. I'm getting out of here. This place is going to explode.
Okay,
I don't care about these maggots. They will explode.
And there's a crazy big zombie coming for us soon.
Okay, so kind of like devoting your attention entirely to climbing, you are able to make good progress, and you actually climb past Lynette and Capella. It's not leaving them behind. It's simply that with your
I've got longer legs.
with your increased physical capabilities, you're easily able to climb a story or so, and you're able to now make your way back up onto the top part of the crane, the original slope which you descended on. So this bit is more horizontal. So you make your way back up there. You're above your colleagues now. I'm going to give you a bit more.
Okay, can I? From here, am I secure enough to turn around and take a few pot shots, or take a pot shot at something evil?
I think
myself?
that's fair. I'll let you get one shot off if you'd like.
So I'm going to fire with my laser pistol, which I believe from this point will probably just be dexterity. 2.
Okay.
I'm not good with pistols.
The blast hits the first of the creatures, the injured one. However, there is a brief flash of energy against energy, and you get the impression it quickly threw up a shield.
It threw up. It threw.
Okay, Lynette.
How's the pain? Am I still in pain?
You swiftly recover.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like a real pain. It's just like the sense of pain.
I'm just going to keep climbing.
Okay, grand.
Get out.
Yeah, so with no, with a relative ease, you make it up to the flat bit of the crane. Kind of like Capella has just taken a shot, and Capella just helps you up. You maybe stand on Capella's shoulder, and now you are up on the flat bit atop, up on the crane as well. So you're very nearly out, very nearly out.
Yeah.
Aaron is going to continue climbing. He's going to kind of make his way up a little bit, and he's going to turn and, he's now kind of level with Capella, and he's going to turn and take a shot down at the zombies.
Good for him.
Nice
not
one,
the zombies,
Aaron.
the kind of mucus dudes.
Nice one, you legend. Woo.
Dun, dun, dun. Aha! And he hits one of the mucus dudes.
Palpable hit.
And the first zombie, the injured one, now explodes. I'm calling them zombies. The one you kind of took a chunk out of earlier just explodes. Aaron's shot wipes it out. Okay, Capella, you're so near, above you, literally within a couple of feet.
Yeah, I climb.
Grand.
Yeah, I head up to the flat section.
You make it. Fantastic. Okay, not a problem. You are now the kind of slit in the roof. The cargo hold is now almost upon you. What do you do? I think you can get a bit more out of your move, basically.
Okay, yeah, I will just continue the run. Just run up this sort of ramp towards the slit, probably in a group with everyone else, because I guess we're all up there by now.
I guess you've just got Aaron kind of
trailing behind.
Yeah, he's not far behind you, but he's just a couple of feet below you. You've made your way up onto the flat.
Okay, so I will, in that case, the others are ahead of me. I will reach down to give Aaron a hand to pull him up.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, so now the four of you are on the flat bit, and I think, there's one kind of mucus dude below, but I think, you can safely retreat at this point. And you make your way, all four of you, onto the deck of the ship and kind of like taste. Well, you're still wearing your ether suits, basically.
Yeah.
You taste kind of daylight, and now this world has turned to darkness. So
it's nighttime.
Nighttime has happened. So your radios crackle into life once more as you're free from the biological interference of the virus, and you hear Timbar raising you. And looking up, you see the familiar shape of the future legend. And he's like, he's beside himself. He's been trying to reach you for ages, and you kind of beckon for him to bring the ship down so that you can escape. However, Aaron is saying, bear in mind, you can still feel the entire ship is shaking at this point, and you can hear, great big screams from below. And Aaron is saying, look, this is great and all, but, the virus, as far as we're aware, your ship has made it is clear. But, if, now
we now need to implement the wish plan.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, let's get away from the ship.
Yeah.
I mean, that can explode now as long as we're far enough away from it.
But we don't want to go on the future legend, and I doubt we can run far enough away.
No, I don't
So
think
we
can.
need to be clean now, so that we can get up and just turn the piercing array on and get out of here.
Okay. In that
And
case,
we will carry you onto the ship.
You're going to need
Yeah.
to. I'm going to be useless. Okay, so I guess it's time to take our helmets off.
Yeah.
And I have to touch your faces to make contact.
Okay, so you notice that this is really like the climactic moment, if ever there was one. The entire sun of the Silent Age is now shaking. You're on this deck, which was kind of already listing to begin with, and the four of you stand in a circle. Aaron kind of feels this is, he's saying this doesn't, I'm not biological, this doesn't matter. It's like, well, no, you are I can do this with focus. I can cleanse the air around us. I can
And the suits and everything.
Yeah, I can do this. I can focus. So you activate your final wish, and the four of you stand in a circle and link arms as this glow emanates from your body and expands and kind of passes through all of you to form a bubble around you, and kind of each of you feels kind of like the hair stand up on your body, and it's like you feel a heat, not unpleasant, kind of moving through your body. Now, has anyone here ever had a CAT scan?
No.
I think I might have done actually, but I don't remember it very well.
I had a CAT scan once, and they gave me this kind of drug, and they're like, bear in mind, it will feel like your body is hot. Do not worry about
I don't
it.
think I've had one.
But
no.
they inject you with it, and it literally, you can just feel like a heat kind of moving through your veins. And at first it's like, what the hell's going on? And then you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. So
I'm on board.
you feel like this heat moving through your body, and it's incredibly moving. And if this was cinematic, there'd be a bit of music playing in
Rotating
the
camera
background.
around us.
And you feel like the future, and you look above, and the future legend kind of hazy through the shimmering surface of the bubble, kind of it's coming right down, kicking up a wind, and a hatch opens, and a rope ladder descends towards you. At the same time, the back of the ship, looking back along the edge of the length, of the sun of the Silent Age, you see the wood buckle and burst, and a fist erupts from the surface of the ship. Okay, so this bubble is. So now you're like, did it work? What are we clean? And I'm like, I think we are. I think we've done it. Capella, your eyes roll up into the top of your head, and you slowly go limp. So
I'll pick her up and just shove her over my shoulder.
Okay, so now this rope ladder is descending, and you see a second fist burst out.
Grab the rope ladder. Just everybody grab the rope ladder.
Yeah.
I'll shove. I'll try and latch onto it as much as best I can, whilst also carrying
Wrap it
Capella.
around
Yeah.
you, sort of.
Okay, you make your way onto the rope ladder, and it barely brushes the surface of the sun of the Silent Age before it's up again in the air, and the four of you are just kind of hanging on to this now.
Yeah.
Or Ratua's hanging on, and
Yeah.
it has kind of Capella under one arm as well, and the rope ladder is retracted into the bottom of the future legend, and looking below you, you see Hestus nearly freeing himself from the ship.
I say we just scream at Timbar to get out of the universe.
Yeah.
Turn on everything. Don't care where we're going. Elsewhere.
Yeah.
Elsewhere now.
So the future legend is, obviously an extraversal ship. It can move through spaces beyond physical understanding. However, within the confines of a physical universe, it is also a technically impressive vessel. So it is rising at a pace, and you look below you and you can see, the son of a silent age getting smaller and smaller as you move into what must be the upper atmosphere of this world, and still this kind of keening, this horrible vibrating and noise you can hear, and then suddenly silence. And the silence, and the four of you are now kind of like in the future legend, looking down through this hatch which is swiftly closing, and you see silence and then white. And you just see, looking from your perspective, like a perfectly two-dimensional disc of white, just kind of expanding and growing and growing and suddenly the door slams shut, and with a blink and a flash, you feel a lurch in your bellies, and suddenly you're back in the Extraverse.
Nice.
And you are safe.
Yeah!
So bravo, everyone.
Should we check that we are cured? Oh, we're pretty sure.
Okay, the four
Don't
of
get
you.
ahead of ourselves.
The four of you collapse, somewhat exhausted in. I was going to say in your filthy Eva suits, but as you kind of glance around, you see and examine yourself. You see that aside from like the damage you picked up and the scratches and burn marks on your suits, there is no trace of mucus or slime. It worked. They have been utterly sterilised. In fact, those of you who have eyebrows may be wondering where they've gone. And Capella is lying in a heap on the floor and needs medical attention.
Well, I'll again just sort of pick her up. I'll trudge off towards them.
Take her to the
Maybe
med bay.
Aaron can help.
Yeah, well, we need to show him around. He's
Got a new home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get to work.
Looking through the portholes, you see the familiar, cool, kind of empty depths of the Extraverse. And while this may not have been a victory, you feel even making it out alive is something to be proud of. And thanks to your efforts, you have prevented this virus from ever escaping into the Extraverse. And you make a point to share knowledge of this world with other birds, to mark it as dangerous and kind of never to be entered again. And you are very happy to welcome Aaron 1 into your fold. He needs a ship and he needs a home, and your family has grown by 1.
Yay!
So yeah, I think you guys did it. Bravo!
Yay! Can I roll for a glass of champagne?
You get to make your tea. Finally.
Finally make your tea.
So there we go. Thank you guys. That was
Well
Thank
done.
you.
That
Well
was
done.
amazing.
Really
That
good.
was really, really good. Yeah, really excellent. As we were cleansing on the deck, I
Yeah.
was really just hoping there would be a Hestus moment bursting through the deck. So when you said that, I was like, yes, that's exactly
like,
what
no.
should be happening. Yeah, obviously I was terrified. But no, genuinely, there were moments in that where I was like,
Yeah, are we gonna
actually
make
edge
it?
of my seat. Like, we've got to do
Yeah.
this. Like, I felt a sense of urgency and like panic almost.
I felt a bit emotional when Jason jumped down.
That was such a good
Which
moment.
quickly went when he
Rolled a
got
zero.
Well, he was very. If that had worked, and like if he'd done any damage at that point, I was gonna have the creature, like, because it was building up a charge. I was gonna it interrupted it in the middle of and then it was gonna explode. It was gonna be like a kind of backlash.
Cool.
Let us down. Sadly.
So you guys all did really well. I think I mentioned this when we did our first interlude, but you took it in directions. I mean, I had no idea where this was going to go, and I was kind of making up a lot of it, but you took it in directions I never would have anticipated.
Awesome.
I half expected, one thing you folks never did, which I thought you might try, was to try and communicate with the virus in some way, or to even try and again
We did not consider
blow
that.
it up.
no, again using
kill it dead.
using this weird using the wish stuff possibly as the MacGuffin for any situation where the stuff we don't understand. But I kind of imagined you might try and communicate with the virus. In case you are interested, this is the virus you ran up against is an old creation of mine. It's from it's called the Bayan multi-mind, and it is a virus. It is intelligent, and it actually hails from a world which has popped up in Cuckoos already. It hails from the War world.
Ah, right, okay.
And
Nettleton and everything.
yeah, it is a virus which, because that was a world based on some of my stories when I was a teenager, and the Bayan multi-mind was a threat which often kind of reared its head on that world. So when I was saying, like, they landed on a heavily forested world, I was half expecting some of you to go like, haven't we already seen like a heavily forested world? But I guess that doesn't really like narrow it down. But yeah, I've got to say, like, I think you guys all did really well in like the combat. I think the combat rules perhaps need there's a lot of finicky work we could do there, because like,
I agree. Yeah,
it works, but I was essentially just kind of like bending things all the time to just try and work it.
Well, I mean, that'll be interesting. Like, your input in that as the DM will be interesting to sort of put it together.
Yeah. I also think that it was great how we ran out of the pools of elements of the world, but we relied on it quite heavily.
Yeah, towards the end.
Yeah, and there was enough for us to sort of constantly get help. And I wonder whether we need to reduce that a little bit.
Yeah.
Make it more of a commodity that we're afraid to use.
So maybe like you could even have it where we have fewer of the pools.
Yeah.
But maybe like their effects are a bit more
Maybe you get 2
pronounced.
or 3 as a bonus rather than just 1, but perhaps there's only like literally a few of each colour.
So it's more significant, but there are fewer of them.
I mean, it almost makes you wonder, like, if you go, like, if you went super low, like, you really just had, like, a handful, like, could it even just be, like, an instant win?
Maybe.
It's just, like, I can just win a strength check if I use one of these, or, but you can't do that
there's,
every
like, 5
time.
of them.
Yeah, but there's really not that much.
Yeah, that might be a good idea, because I guess the problem with it is that I could add an extra dice to a roll. And I still, like I did often in that game, still roll like a 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've drawn energy from the world and it's done nothing. That kind of doesn't make sense in a way, does it? Like, if you were going to draw true power from the universe...
It should be almost guaranteed.
Yeah, I think maybe your idea of it being more of a...
Or does it give you a plus
trump
5? Like, it automatically gives you a plus 5 to your stat of whatever you roll as
It's
well.
either significant or absolute, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas at the moment, adding a single die, I think it just felt a little bit... almost
I guess,
inconsequential.
as you say, the disadvantage is that there's always a chance you roll 0 on a die.
Yeah.
Whereas if it gives you a plus 5 or something, plus whatever you roll, even if you roll 0, a 5 is quite a good roll.
Oh, I see. You're adding after rolls.
Rather than adding die, maybe it just adds 5 a fixed number.
Fixed number.
Yeah,
I could do that, yeah.
Because it could add 5 die and you still roll 0.
I know, yeah. Which I know is the essence of a game based on dice, but I still feel like I think there's merit in making it more powerful and yet more reduced.
More of a rarity.
Yeah.
So can I ask, was Hestus a min-max?
Yeah, like Hestus was an interesting one, because I wanted Hestus, because as I was hopefully kind of like heavily hinting, like as the story went on, like Hestus was like super strong.
We can't beat him.
Yeah.
Like literally, like his strength was 10 basically, and I had to kind of fudge it a little bit, because kind of like it was always an experiment. I didn't know like how he was going to pan out, but like I think the most, I don't know, it was like,
how much HP did you have?
I wanted to give him 20, which is like, because you guys were all on 16, but it's like you just couldn't hurt him. Like any attack just wasn't doing. So very swiftly, I was like, this isn't going to work.
But I actually assumed that you had assumed that we weren't going to kill him.
Yeah.
I thought the idea of that moment that you'd engineered
to survive it
was to stop him or get away. Like, that's what I thought your idea was. So it actually worked quite well in the end.
No, which is fine. I mean, and again, because I think we were all kind of in on it in a weird way. We're just kind of playing the game. I think that was fine. And like what you did with the armor was really cool. Yeah, but it's like I feel it's not quite there.
No, I agree.
Yet,
I agree. Yeah.
Because it's like the thing I was finding hard is like if you were using a gun.
Yeah.
So say like a bit at the end on the crane. It's like you've got these zombies. You've got these kind of like these weird Babayan things are floating towards you. It's like you're taking a shot. And I'm like. It's like you blast one of these things, and I'm thinking, well, how do we respond to that realistically? Like, do I just say that like you've hit, and now the creature has to have like a kind of, I just run like a strength check, like, oh, you blasted it, how much damage did you do, or is it like or do I have to like say you've blasted, so now I have to check whether you physically hit or not? So does it try and dodge, or does it try and throw up a shield? Maybe I should have been doing more of that. Like right at the end, like we had it throw up a shield.
Yeah.
Because there's a thing in in current Dungeons and Dragons, like if you're a wizard and you use, say, magic missile, which is just like an energy bolt, it always hits. Like you never have to roll for
because it's not like a bullet. It's almost like you've mentally targeted. And it's just going to track to it no matter what. Kind of,
But whereas like if I'm firing it's almost like
Do you roll for success? And then
if you successfully
roll again?
cast.
Yeah, I mean that's the classic kind of like in D&D 3.5, which is the one I've actually played the most of. You would roll for success, and then if that roll was a critical win, like a 20, whatever you then rolled for damage, you would double.
Okay.
So it's like, but you'd still. I wasn't sure that I liked the idea of having to kind of multi-roll, because I've often found that when I've played role-playing games with people who aren't necessarily familiar with it or who aren't that great at mathematics or anything, that's confusing. That you roll and it's like I hit them, but do I do any damage?
Yeah, it's like, do you hit them really well, but get low damage, or do you hardly hit them but you've got really high damage?
So that's why I kind of put in the thing of it's the difference between the defense and the attack. But if that's not working, we'll have to.
It's very interesting, kind of like doing it behind the scenes, and then kind of like I guess seeing under the hood.
Yeah.
And you're like, we need something else, because it's like I can see why they do it now. Because sometimes it can get too complex, because you can have like, did I hit? Did I beat their armor? Did I do damage? It's almost like we don't want to get to a point where you're doing like 3 rolls.
I wonder whether we each just naturally have an armor rating, whether that relates to what
D&D.
we're wearing, or whether it relates to one of our stats.
Well, I think that's the one thing of none of us are actually wearing any armor at any point.
When we're attacked, perhaps we don't have to roll unless we're trying to actively fight back or get out the way.
Yeah.
We just does it defeat
I think
our armor rating? Or
I wrote in the
and
rules
maybe
that if we were wearing
any baddies
armor,
have an armor rating as well.
Yeah.
So I did write in the rules that if you're wearing any armor, then you just basically ignore any attacks under a certain amount. Like whatever your armor gives you, you ignore anything that comes at you that's below that.
Yeah.
But none of us ever were wearing like real armor.
No.
Like,
No, I think we need like an equivalent of like an armor class or some number, because I was having to like make up so much just on a kind of like a story, just to make it work. And I think it worked like from a kind of story point of view. But like I certainly,
you need a natural inherent defense.
If anyone else was having to play this, I don't know what they would do basically.
Because say if someone was coming at you from behind with like to bop you over the head and you didn't notice.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be really rolling for anything in
You
the
wouldn't roll for
defense way.
dexterity,
But if you're wearing a hat or a helmet, you would have some resistance to that attack.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't aware.
Because it's like because like to use the magic missile example, that never misses. However, I reckon there's a good chance that whether you're swinging a blade or whether you're kind of like shooting someone,
you can miss.
there should be a chance of being able to miss. So maybe it's like, I raise a gun, like you raise a gun and you go to shoot one of the Bayan creatures like you were doing from the crane. So it's either like you have to win, say, a dexterity roll, or the Bayan has to win a dexterity roll to dodge, if you know what I mean. Like,
well, it's almost like if you were to win a dexterity roll or it were to win a dexterity roll, that's the same thing. So you only have to do it once.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that you roll dexterity, that's whether you hit. But a laser pistol wouldn't deliver more or less damage dependent on a hit. It would always deliver the same amount of damage.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, what if there was damage ratings for weapons?
And they just do
that much damage.
That's an interesting point. So something like a gun has an inherent damage rating, and when you roll, it's do you hit or not?
And if you do, you deal 5 damage.
And if it's a low roll, maybe they graze like.
And that's where
you're. Whereas something like an axe, that's to do with strength, or that's to do with dexterity. So you're more rolling for how much damage do you do with an axe? Do you swing it really hard and it hits them?
And really, maybe you can only miss if you roll something like a 0 or 1.
Yeah.
At which point you do so little damage that you as a DM sort of determine yourself that, well, that's a miss then.
Yeah.
So there are weapons that involve strength.
But
and there are
analog weapons and digital weapons.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
So then that would also, if we said that like the type of weapon, because that was something that kind of like evolved out of playing the idea that like a gun requires dexterity.
Yeah, which I liked.
Yeah, which is kind of cool, and that makes sense. So you could even have...
All you have to do is aim it, because it does the rest.
One thing, which didn't really come up in this particular session was the fact that we have these item cards.
Yeah.
So you have a gun, you have a scanner. So maybe that's what will go on the cards. It would say, here is a gun.
It does.
It is related to dexterity.
Okay, yeah, so it's a dexterity item.
Yeah.
And it deals, on a successful hit, it deals X amount of damage.
Yeah.
See, what we've just done here is invent the D&D weapon system.
Damn it.
Yeah.
And
But hang on, aren't D&D weapons, like, the amount of damage they do varies depending on a roll, though?
Well, yes, you have to roll for the damage, but they are also tied to a stat, usually.
Yeah, so it'll be something like...
And then they have
it's a
types
D4.
as well, so like a certain type of sword is a piercing weapon, and that's...
But see, in a way...
Gets you past certain
armor.
armour.
Stat, or can it not just be tied to physical?
In a way, that doesn't make sense. If you think about it, like, if you land an attack and then have to roll about how much damage you're doing with that attack, like...
It's like, you've already done well to land it, like...
If you are swinging full pelt with a sword and it lands, you're going to do the maximum amount of damage your character could do with a sword to them. If you miss, you're not. It doesn't have to be that digital, but it basically is.
Yeah.
When you think about it, isn't it? Like,
because it's like, if you're up close and you swing an axe at someone, I mean, if you're really up close, you're probably going to hit them.
Yeah.
So then you're rolling to see damage? Like how well do you hit them? But there's always going to be a chance that you miss. It is...
I mean, let's say you land the attack and you roll a 1.
Yeah.
So what have you done? You've successfully, close quarters combat, you've successfully hit someone with an axe.
Yeah.
And then you do what? No damage
Chip their
to them.
fingernail.
So then the DM has to go, your axe bounces off their armour somehow because you're a retard.
Yeah. It's pretty tough. It's like... Because I can definitely see, like... Because I know, like, when we got into combat the first time, I found it a bit kind of like... I suddenly drew a blank, and I was thinking, like, how does this work? It's like it's like they're firing with a psychic attack, and I'm like,
that is problematic. I'll give you
like,
that.
does that? It's like a beam of pink energy. It's like, does it automatically hit? Do I say to you, you have to take a dexterity saving throw, or do I dictate? I'm like, you have to take a strength throw because it hits you. Like, what
will throw?
Yeah,
because it's definitely hitting your mind.
I certainly think there will be some things that are just. It's coming for you.
It will
How
land.
well do you shield yourself? I think there will always be some things like that.
It's almost like there's absolute weapons, and then there's, like you say, analog and digital weapons. Digital weapons always land.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Well, they either do or they don't.
Yeah, that's right. They do or they
you
don't.
either miss or you hit.
Because a classic example was the Bayan had 2 attacks. They had an energy beam, and they had a project pain into your mind. And it's like, that one worked better, the pain one. Because you didn't have to worry about whether it hit or not. It just automatically hit, and then you had to take a saving throw
with your defensive will.
Against will, yeah.
Well, maybe it's with a digital weapon, you roll for if you hit or not, and you decide in your head, how high a throw I might need to get. Because if it's something quite nimble, maybe you put it slightly higher than if it was like a big lumbering
Well, you
blob.
would roll the dexterity.
But, yeah, so I'd roll my dexterity.
No, you wouldn't. The DM would roll their dexterity against your attempted shot.
Yeah, what I was about to say was I rolled to see... Is it successful? Yeah, no, hang on. But it's got a fixed amount of damage. So what am I rolling for?
You're rolling dexterity, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm rolling dexterity. Do I hit, yes or no? Whether it meets your amount, your level or not. Their roll is how much...
so you see that...
Where does it hit? Is it a headshot? Because if their saving throw is rubbish, maybe it's a headshot and it's, really
this brings
good.
in the weak spots.
Maybe I still fire the same amount of damage, but it hits its hand and it loses a hand, but it's still alive. There's different ways of doing it.
You see, it's kind of interesting because it's like, because you drew up probability charts, didn't you? Where you're saying like if there's any check, then 2 is easy, 4 is medium, 6 is hard, 12 is like impossible. So, yeah, that's an interesting thing. You're saying you could be like, boom, the door flies open. There's, I'm the zombie and Nick's defending. Or I'm the psychic dude. And I'm like, well, he's like 6 feet in front of you. And I'm blasting a psychic attack. I think that's pretty easy. So then, like, I roll my attack based on my will. The little character sheet could say, has a psychic attack is governed by will. I roll will, and it's like, I rolled a 3. I'm like, well, it's easy because he's only 6 feet away. So I've definitely hit. And now you roll will kind of what you were saying. It's like it's hit. So now,
so where has it hit? How effective is that hit?
Yeah, how much damage?
Yeah,
and then maybe there's a standard damage thing, or it's for difference. I don't know. There's still
work to be done, isn't there?
There's still work to be done, basically. But I think it worked.
Yeah.
For the time being, with a bit of creative
license. So you
license.
did very well to be flexible. Yeah, I didn't get a sense that you were thinking on your
riffing
feet.
it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. But like I said, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh, I enjoyed it as well, definitely.
And I think we have finished our first
Excellent.
adventure,
First flight.
if you will.
Second flight coming soon.
So yeah, shall we?
I think we should call
quit
this
while
to a
we're
close.
ahead
Yeah.
then?
Round it off.
Cheery bile.
So massively, just thank you to you.
Thanks for listening.
all
Hope
of
you enjoyed the adventure. We certainly did. And we'll be back soon.